Hey everyone, Walter Crosby with Helix Sales Development, your host of Sales and Cigars. Today's episode's a lot of fun. It's sort of fast paced with my friend Jim Packard. Jim has got a history of entrepreneurship and business ownership, and we're going to talk about client retention and employee retention and how they're connected and how you can use these principles to grow and scale your business. And if you focus on those two things, what magic can happen. And Jim tells a couple of stories. We kind of get into how he did it. So go grab a cigar, grab a cocktail, strap in for another fun, exciting episode of Sales and Cigars. Thanks. So Jim, welcome to Sales and Cigars. I appreciate you taking some time out of your afternoon.
Well, I've been really looking forward to having this discussion with you.
We've had a couple of start and stops, my fault, and I appreciate your patience. I appreciate. Let's kind of start here. You sent me a series of cards, like greeting cards with cool images on the front, and it kind of just gets your attention, keeps you top of mind. I find that it's sort of like those we used to write handwritten notes. This is something that ilk. It gets somebody's attention, and the one I got today was like a little Halloween card. But it's a cool feature. Can you share a little bit about how that works, and if somebody's interested in this, we'll have all that in the show notes. But can we start there?
Yeah, I'd be more than glad to. I realize that only 3% of the mail that you and I receive is personal. So when somebody does get a greeting card, they open it. And I built my first business all around customer retention. And this was just a great follow-up to that customer retention. You actually create it on a computer. I mean, I can go to the website, find the greeting card I want to send, type my message in my own handwriting if I wanted to, hit a button that says send, and our company prints it, stuffs it, and mails it for you. You don't even touch it.
Yeah, it's sort of like a no-brainer. But what was cool was when we were talking about setting up this podcast, I had asked you, you have any relationship with cigars? And you were like, yeah. And then like 5 days later, a greeting card shows up that's totally personalized to me, with like you and some family smoking cigars at the beach, right? So it was kind of
absolutely cool. Yep. We celebrate with cigars.
Yeah, it's as a family, that's a thing that you guys do?
My two sons and I have been in business together for over 20 years, and we usually celebrate. Not necessarily my wife. She did in that one picture, but she doesn't normally smoke cigars with us.
She filled in for this. She stepped up a little bit. Okay, so we'll have so that's a cool thing that people can reach out to you. I'll have some stuff in the show notes to be able for people to look out. But it's a great little service that they can provide. They sign up for it and just go do it themselves whenever they want. Is there a sort of that? Is it that simple?
Yeah, it's really that simple. They even can send them out themselves, or I'll do it for them, one or the other.
Cool. All right. I love it. It's really in these days. I think it's less than 3% of mail that's personal, right? Because I don't consider bills personal.
No.
And most of the mail I'm getting this last 3 weeks are those big ass postcards with pictures of the candidates that are running for various offices. And
you get them too. We get them out here as well.
It's crazy that I have you pull out the drawer in the kitchen you got the trash can, and then there's a recycle bin. That whole recycle bin is full of those postcards right now.
Yeah. We go to pick up our mail at it's a mail drop. A bunch of mailboxes are down there, and there's a great big container, waste container, and it is absolutely jam packed with promotional cards.
The post office could use the help
Yeah.
with the revenue right now, but
Yeah.
it's crazy. So
Don't you wonder how much money they spend on all that? My goodness.
billions of dollars are spent
Yeah.
on um, all of those races, and some of the races. I'm here in Michigan, and some of these are highly contested. They're calling it a swing state this year. By the time this episode drops, we will have that'll all be sorted. Um, we'll know who had.
I'm from Arizona, so I'm from another swing state, and we had them all here in the last couple of days. They've all been out here.
Yeah, they've been popping in here. The VPs, yeah, it seems like every 3 days one of them is
Yep.
in some part of the state, um, and they're saying the same damn thing, which is nothing. Anyway, all right. So let me go back to a question I like to ask folks. Is there a book that you gift often, or that you reread for yourself on a regular basis?
Yeah. Yeah, there's one book that I seem to take on vacation every time I go. And that book it was written by Jay Abraham. He's a
Mm-hmm.
marketing guru. Are you familiar with Jay Abraham? I assume you
Yeah,
are.
Abraham University is one of my subscriptions. I have access to
Okay.
all this stuff.
Well, Jay Abraham wrote a book called Getting All You Can Out of All You've Got. And that's the book that I read. That's the one that I gift. I was fortunate enough to spend a week with him one time,
Wow.
just in some training. But it's in his book, he states that if you look at industries that are successful and you look and you can copy an idea from an industry that's been successful and you can apply it to your own industry, what might be as common as dirt in their industry might have the effect of an atomic bomb going off in yours. And I love looking at other industry, looking at other products, see what companies are doing, and grabbing those ideas, borrowing them, and putting them to use. And that's what I've done for years.
It's really simple ideas that you can get out of a book, and I there's a couple of books I go back and reread on a regular basis, and I probably should put that one in my rotation. But it just you sometimes you're sitting there at the beach or in a chair, and you read the same thing you've read maybe 20 times, but it just clicks that time about something that you saw, and you can turn it into a little kernel can be turned into revenue, or it can help somebody. It can take you to a place just by rereading something. It's awesome.
Yeah, his book is very complex concepts inside the book, and I can read one day and not get anything out of it. The next time I read it, like you say, you go, "Oh, this is what he meant." And so it's a great book to take with me when I go on vacations.
Yeah, because your mind is open, right? And hopefully,
Yep.
in vacation, we
Yep.
get to relax a little bit, and do that. So that's a great book for people to pick up and think about. So one of the things that when we've talked over the last couple of months was the story you told me about customer and client retention, how that philosophy helped you grow your business, and ultimately helped you exit,
Yeah.
and create something special. And you're still using those ideas. So, can we talk a little bit about that philosophy around how that helps you hold on to customers and helps you hold on to employees?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I started a business. I went to the University of Maine. Actually graduated with Stephen King was in my class
Oh
and
shit!
spent a
Really?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And he was just as scary and weird back then in those days as he is today. And the other person I spent a lot of time with was Jay Leno. So you talk about two contrasts. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So when I started, I'm this type of guy. I couldn't wait to get out of college and get a job. And I took a job in a big retail store. I was on the executive training squad, and I worked there for a couple years. And And really what happened was they had a contest where the highest percentage over quota won a trip to Bermuda. And I won that contest. And when I got back home, there was a letter in the mail. And the letter basically said, your name has come to our attention as the type of person that possesses the qualities that we like, that we're looking for. We'd love to talk to you. And I'm looking at my wife, Sherry, and I'm going, yeah, they probably heard about the contest that I won. So let's go and meet with them. So they said, well, meet us at Holiday Inn at 7:00. So we went down, we met with them. Little did I know, it was a network marketing meeting.
Hmm.
And Sherry and I, we bought $3,200 worth of a dream, and we joined the company. And the company got shut down after a couple of years. But what it really did for me, it exposed me to positive thinking and goal setting and goal writing. In fact, I've got my original set of goals on the wall over here from 1971, and it's and they're matted and framed. I got them there though, but it gave me the confidence to go out and start my own business, and or go out and get a sales job anyway. Initially, I got a sales job, and then it led to owning my own business. And when I started our own business, I knew I wanted to make it big. Okay, I knew that we weren't gonna. I didn't want it to have just a Me Too company. I wanted it to be different. So I really wanted to put the emphasis on taking care of our employees and taking care of our customers, and doing so better than our competitors were doing. And I think we accomplished that, because I remember that during that time period, I was taking a Dale Carnegie course. I don't know if you've ever taken one or not, but I took the course, and in the course, I originally took the course because my dad did years earlier, and he won a thermometer, and I wonder, am I as good as my dad? Because he said he was a pretty good salesman. So I took that class. I think I won every honor that you can get, every award in that class. There was no thermometer. I don't know where he got the thermometer, but he did not get it from that class. So, but it's
stuck in your mind that he got it there. That's funny.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As it turned out, I put all my employees through the Dale Carnegie class in the years that we had the business, and I remember they had a session where you had to write down what your ideal day would look like in 10 years and 15 years, whatever it was, 20 years. And I wrote down that goal, that how much I wanted. I knew I eventually wanted to sell the business. I knew how much I wanted to sell it, and I knew what my ideal day was. And the day we sold the company was a month before my 50th birthday. We sold it for the exact amount that I wrote down on that paper. So I know that it got into my head. Those days where I was out selling photocopiers on a Friday afternoon in a snowstorm in Farmington, Maine, I kept thinking of that word picture that I wrote down, and that's what drove me. And I eventually sold the business for the dollars that we wanted. But when we started out, we weren't, it was just three of us. It was myself, another salesman, and a technician. And I go, well, what do we do with the technician all day long? We don't have enough machines for him to service. And most people know that technicians can't sell anything. Mm. So I said, well, I took a page out of my dad's old he used to be an insurance salesman for Western and Southern, and he had to go out and collect a debit every single month, had to collect the money that was owed him. Yeah. I said, well, we'll have Ronnie go collect, go check on every machine that we have out, check on the supplies. And he got it done in a week. I mean, not a month. He did everything in a week. And he says, well, what do you want me to do this week, Jim? I go visit the accounts again. Just keep rotating them, all right? And we started doing that. And when we sold the company 25 years later, we were doing 122 hours per week of courtesy call visits. And that's just, our customers loved it. And if you have customer loyalty, I read somewhere where 70% of your potential comes from, you have a 70% 50% better chance of selling to an existing customer than you do going out and finding a new one.
It's so much less expensive to hold on to an existing account, treat them properly, right? All of that is, I mean, it might even be higher than that, right? It might be worth more.
Well, I've read that it's 10 times the lifetime value of a customer can be 10 times the original purchase price. I mean, that alone.
More. Yeah.
Right?
But you said a couple of things I want to touch on. You were training your employees. You were you were showing them that it was important to go have those touches with the customers because the customers were the ones that were giving us reason to exist. But making that investment. And I was talking to a colleague of mine this morning. We're having breakfast, and we were talking about experiences that we had, getting brakes done on a car, the experience that he had with his veterinarian. And the staff that we've had to encounter, they're not trained to deal with customers to make the customer feel like they're being heard. They're not helping the customer feel welcome, right? They're not giving that customer service hospitality kind of mindset. And whose fault is that? And I think individually we have to take responsibility for our own career and try to get better. But I think the business owner needs to provide some guidance, some training, onboarding, right? To give the employees, make that investment. And is it fair to say that you know from experience that making that investment in them helps them stick around?
I think I know there's two reasons why a customer leaves you. Number one is because they simply forget you. And number two is because they felt you took their business for granted in the first place. And we weren't going to allow that to happen to our customers. We worked so hard to get a customer. We're going to allow anybody to take that customer away from us, at least due from apathy on our part. It was not going to happen. And I think that, maybe we're just big, dumb, and lucky. We had an extra employee. We had him start visiting all those accounts. When we hired our first employee after that, we continued that same service. And we just realized, just the byproduct of getting referrals from our customers because they were happy with it. When we ended up selling the business, I remember looking at all the testimonials that we had matted and framed down our walls. We had 188 testimonials matted and framed throughout the entire building. And it was just because, we got the referrals from the customers, and that was a byproduct of all those customer visits. And we reached a point where we had a customer rep, and that customer rep would go into every account every single month and check on the supplies, take an order, and then she would leave flavored popcorn every single month at every single account. And we would give them the Korean Ives containers, the beautiful Korean Ives containers that you could buy. And every month that she'd go in with a different flavored popcorn. It could be blackberry one week, caramel corn the next week. The next week it could be lobster, whatever it was, all right? And she would fill it up. And that was just another thing that we did for our customer. And I came up with the idea of sending and this is where the greeting cards come into play. I started sending our copiers and our faxes that we were marketing, I started sending them birthday cards. So you can imagine as a CFO or owner of a company, you get a birthday card in your mail and you go, it's not really my birthday. And then when you open it up, it says, when you walk by your copier today, pat the copier on the glass because your copier is 2 years old today. All right. Our customers love that. They love that. And when I eventually sold the company 25 years later, I remember that and I got into the greeting card business. But that's how we took care of our customers. And our employees, we did things like we'd send the spouses flowers on the anniversary of the day that they joined our company. We did company trips and and all that stuff, and took them to the Red Sox games and the Patriot games and stuff. But one thing we did, what was really a little bit unusual, every Friday afternoon we closed down the company, and this is when we had about 120 employees at one point, and we closed down the company. We had a great big office in Portland, Maine. It was about a 30,000 square foot building, and we'd close the company down at 1 o'clock. We'd have everybody come to the Portland office, and we'd have a barbecue every Friday afternoon. And we'd do the barbecue, and myself and general manager and a couple of the sales managers would do all the cooking and everything. And when everybody got done, they each had a section of the building that it was their section to clean up. And we'd clean the building, and then when that was done, they got to go home. So our guys were leaving at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday, and they loved that. And that built such loyalty. Well, when we sold the company, the first five people that were with us when we started the company were with us when we sold the company 25 years later.
Wow. That customer testimonials are really, really important, and taking care of our customers, right? Because they're the ones who are going to keep us going and keep growing revenue and get referrals and introductions to other people. But
Yep, absolutely.
But it's our employees that can screw something up, right? And I go back to what I was talking about earlier, like that the service guy at a dealership, or the receptionist at a veterinarian office, who just they don't just act like they don't care. And that's probably not the feeling of the owner or the veterinarian, whoever owns the facility, but it's your impression. And it's so easy to just listen to somebody when they're upset, right? In sales, I talk about it as we want to lower resistance when somebody comes in, right? They could come in really hot and be upset, and listen to them and I understand why you're upset. I really do. And then you start knocking that resistance down, and then you start collaborating with them as to how you solve the problem in a way that's meaningful to everybody. But you can't do it when everybody's emotional. And that kind of a conversation, a kind of coaching with somebody that's customer facing, salespeople, but everybody's a salesperson to a degree. That reception, deals with hot people on the phone or people coming into the office. They're all emotionally charged, right? Because they're worried about their pet. They're not there for happy time,
Yeah.
right?
It's all about the culture that you create in the company.
Top down, right? Top down.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, culture will eat strategy, or we'll eat the strategy for breakfast. And I the time that I realized that we had a great culture in our company, our office was in Portland, but I didn't work out of Portland. I worked out of the Augusta office, right, which is about an hour and a half away. Yeah. But I went down to our Portland office, and I was standing by the receptionist when a salesman walked in one day, and the salesman happened to ask our receptionist who was sitting there, and says, how many salespeople do you have working here? And without missing a beat, she said 117. and I did not train her to do that. I wished I had, okay? But I didn't train her to say that. That was the culture that we had created there. And it was,
But I mean, especially your techs. Where the tech is going out, those people are upset. They need to get something corrected so that they can, copy or print the thing for the presentation. Everybody's stressed out, and they got to be able to go deal with that.
Well, most technicians don't have the training that you would have or I would give. I made sure that every single technician went through a Dale Carnegie class, how to win friends and influence people. Yeah. And when we conducted those for all new employees, we bought all our technicians suits, because they didn't, most technicians don't have the money to go out and buy suits, but we required suits. So we bought suits for all our technicians. We put them through the Dale Carnegie class. We did everything that, from a company standpoint, that I could think of to make our company better. And I don't know who's responsible for, like in the vet's office, to make the customer feel better? I don't know. I think it has to come from the top down, don't you?
It's I have a friend who's a Cajun, Louisiana, born and bred, and he used to say the fish rots from the head. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of gross. Think
Yep.
about it for a
Yep.
second.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
But it makes the point. If we're as a leader aren't out there, and we're all leaders, right? But if that business owner, that entrepreneur, that sales leader isn't being consistent with that message, is empowering people to make decisions. I wrote a book, and there's a whole chapter designed around getting alignment with your vision as the owner, and helping the employee understand what they can do within the scope of their job to fulfill that vision. Everybody has that ability. In the guy on the loading dock, the guy that's doing shipping, the gal answering the phone, or the dude that's doing customer service. All of those people have an opportunity to fulfill that vision. And if we haven't helped them see what that is, then we've failed to share our vision properly. And it's not difficult, and you can quickly determine how, if that person is a good culture fit. And if they're not, then you got to make some hard decisions. But you should figure that
No.
out in advance before you hire them.
Well, it's you talk about making a hard decision. I mean, when we ran our company, we had a great company, but at one point we were 34-1 debt to equity ratio.
Wow.
And I think about that just for a second. For every dollar that I own inventory, I owed $34.
Yeah.
And we were in such bad shape that you know, a good friend of mine owned a company in the next state over, would love to buy us out, but he couldn't absorb the debt. And I remember that, we turned it around within 90 days. We did what we had to do. But I went back to my old Jay Abraham book. And in the book, he says, look at other industries, see what they're doing. And if you can copy what they're doing, it could have an effect of an atomic bomb going off. So we took a bunch of employees to a sandals resort in the Bahamas. And
Mm-hmm.
the Sandals Resort is one of those all-inclusive places where once you get there, you just put your wallet in the safe and everything's paid for, right? And I remember standing by the bar and going, I ordered a drink. I didn't particularly like it. No problem. Here's another one. Here's another one. I mean, everything was paid for. And I got thinking, what a great concept this is. So I took that concept. When I went back to Maine, I go, well, I'm going to try a program. You have a copier in your office, and let's just say you paid $1,500 for it. Well, you also have to buy the maintenance agreement. You have to buy the supplies for it, and you have to finance it somehow. I came up with a program. I said, well, I'll put a copier in your office, and I will charge you a nickel a copy. At the end of the month, I'll come and read the meter on the copier. And if you made 500 copies, I'd bill you 500 times a nickel a copy. You didn't pay for anything, all right? And we started that cost per copy program, and it turned our company around. I mean, our competition, it took them years to figure out what we were doing, but we found a finance company that would finance it. And we started doing that with all our major accounts, and it made all the difference in the world.
But that concept, I remember Xerox. I bought I didn't buy it. They quote unquote gave me a printer, right?
Yeah.
Back when they had those beautiful wax printers, and
Yeah.
it was a similar. I had a set fee I would pay for all of my consumables, and it was all based on usage, right? So I
Yeah.
got the equipment, and what I consumed was what I paid for. So it's very similar to your nickel idea.
What year was that? Do you remember?
2000, 2001, 2000,
Okay.
2000, I think around 2002.
We started this in 1979, 1981, in that area.
Took them a
So
while.
it took them a while to catch on. I used to be a Xerox agent for the state of Maine too, so I'm very familiar with them and some of their equipment. But
Yeah, so I mean, it's that we go back to the J. Abraham book, like it's and the Dale Carnegie, and we make those investments in our people. share what we're really trying to accomplish, and help them understand what they can do and why we're asking them to do it, and what they can do in their scope of work to help us fulfill that. And you're really trying to help customers. And I remember you told me that story before about the changing the way you delivered the product, just from standing around a bar at a Sandals, right? So you never know where in a
Well,
pit.
and again, it was a book I took on vacation with me, and and I got thinking, God, what a great concept! Everything's paid for. Why couldn't we do that in our industry? And that's what we introduced. And I mean, initially we even gave away the paper with the machines, and we figured we realized that some of our larger accounts, the paper was walking out the back door, so we eliminated the paper from it and just did the supplies that we can control.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's that creativity and that desire to do something to create an advantage for everybody, and a win-win-win, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I love it. I mean, we could probably have a conversation about all of these stories for another hour or so. But I want to go back to the cards.
Sure.
The kind of just walk through like what somebody needs to go to a website. How do they sign up for this? I mean,
Well, first of all, anybody can just get a hold of me at just jim@jimpackard.com. Just write me an email, and I'll talk to them personally. Or they can go right directly to the website, which is sendoutcards.com/Rainmaker, which is my code. I've been using the system for over 20 years now. It's a great customer retention tool. I mean, it's especially in today's age where everything is digital. I mean, it's a real physical card that comes in the mail.
Yeah.
So it really stands out to people. I have one client that's he's a roofer, but and every time there's a hailstorm, and he loves it because people need to have more roofs.
Right.
And he's been a customer now for about 3 years of mine. And I've sent his clients, he's done 267 roofs. So every 2 months, we send out 267 cards to his database. Now, he can't go out to these people and put another roof on. You don't need another roof. However, these people love him and give him nothing but referrals. And he was telling me about a month ago, he says, Jim, I have one customer that we've sent out a total of 15 cards in the last 3 years for this customer. Did you realize he's given me 11 referrals alone this year?
Wow.
I mean, that paid for all the cards. So, I mean, you can use it as customer retention. You can use it for prospecting if you want to. And it's not expensive. It's very inexpensive.
So we'll have that in the show notes where people can go check it out with your Rainmaker piece.
That's fine.
And then your email will be there. And I can tell you, Jim answers his emails. He's responsive. The stories that he shared are based in fact and reality. It's the approach. So and you can get as creative as you want. And when you get that envelope, it stands out. It literally stands out from in the mail, right? Because it doesn't look. It's got a color to it.
Yep.
It looks like it's handwritten, but it's in the shape of like, oh, that's a card. Like, wonder what that is.
Yeah, you can also, with our system, you can send out a gift card or a gift. And I remember going into one customer that they were sending out Starbucks cards, $20 Starbucks gift cards to all their loyal customers. And I went in and I said, do you realize that you could send a greeting card and a box of brownies, all right, to these same customers, and you're going to reduce your cost. And when they open up the brownies, 4 people get to enjoy the brownies versus 1 person enjoying the Starbucks card. So you get 4 times the bang for your buck. That particular customer bought $150,000 worth of brownies from us that 1 month just by doing it. So that's extreme. It hasn't happened since then, but it's but it shows you what you can do with our system.
And the brownies are good because my wife and I shared them. So.
Oh, did I send you some brownies too?
You did. They were good.
Awesome.
My wife was like, "What are those?" I'm like, "They're brownies. You don't need to worry about it."
Same guy that sent you the silly card with the people smoking on it, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I was going to ask you, like, you have a relationship with cigars, but we kind of covered that with the card of the family celebrating. So, I mean, let me ask this: is there a particular cigar that you like to celebrate with?
Well, probably the Patron.
Oh, Padrones are like that's
Yeah.
my go-to.
Patron, and only because I heard you say it on one of your. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know one from a Tipperillo, but
Okay.
I remember watching basketball growing up in the Northeast. Red Auerbach was.
Red Auerbach, yeah, always had a cigar in his mouth. That would not fly today. That wouldn't fly.
No, it would not fly today. But he would light it up when he felt that he had the game under control. And that's with 2 or 3 minutes left in the game. He'd light that stogie up, and we'd go wild watching that. So,
and that would create a little tension with the other bench too. So when he that's
absolutely.
All right, sir. I appreciate you taking the time. I'm glad we're able to do this. And if you're out there and you're looking for something creative to try to help you create that, because it works internally as well. You can send those cards to your own customers.
I just got back from a 3-day seminar just on how to write, how to have gratitude for people, and it's so you can use it internally as well as externally to your customers.
Absolutely, Jim. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, Walter. Thank you.